Hi guys, so today I'll go over an article that talks about what federal employee rights probationary employees have and should know. So this is an article by Suzanne from January 31st, 2025. I'll quickly go over some of the links over here on the side, but this kind of gives an overall idea of what you can do as a probationary employee. This video will probably be a bit lengthy, potentially 20 minutes to up to 30 minutes. The reason I'm doing this so that I can really go over things for people and then send their rights as probationary employees in the federal government. This is for your own good. If you don't want to watch the video, that's fine. You can skip it. But if you're a probationary employee in the federal government, I really recommend just pay attention a little bit. I will put everything in my description, but some things I will go over to explain a little bit in more detail if needed. With so many uncertainty facing federal employees, many on probation want to know what their rights are, especially when it comes to actions against the employment, like removing civil service protection, termination, reduction force. So this is going to give you an idea of what you can do. This is again, it's a warning. It's not direct legal advice. You should talk to an employment lawyer who's an expert in these things, but this should give you an idea of what you can potentially do in the meantime before you can get a lawyer, in case you don't have one. My recommendation: if you're eligible to be part of a union, be part of a union. You should have done right before. But if you're not yet and you're still in your job, join the union. I recommend always being part of a union. A labor union is needed to keep working rights active to make sure they're still protected. Even if they're now officially in law for federal employees, if they're, let's say, a regulation, join union. And if you're going to get a lawyer, maybe talk to other probationary employees. So if you guys can work together to afford uh, a really expensive good lawyer to help you guys out. Frequently asked questions. What is a probationary period? Basic probationary periods in the federal government can go from 1 to 3 years. So 1 to 2 years is typical of a federal government probationary periods or 24 months. Sometimes, depending on the federal government agency slash department, it could be more than 2 years. So longer than 24 months. But in general, 1 to 2 years is typical probationary period of federal government employees. Compared to service, comparative service jobs are filled through a merit-based selection process and include most federal positions available to the public. Probationary periods for federal service servants, for federal civil servants, I apologize for that, typically lasts 1 year. And they're going to keep talking about what basic experience already around here. Accepted service. So these jobs fall outside the comparative hiring process and are typically agencies with special hiring authorities. For example, include intelligence agencies, CIA, NSA, FBI, positions in the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, and some legal positions in the Department of Justice, DOJ, amongst others. Hiring for accepted service positions does not follow the standard comparative hiring process, but instead allows agencies greater flexibility in selecting candidates. So basically, allow these federal governments and departments to kind of choose people they really want in a flexible manner, so they can make exceptions for certain things they may be lacking, depending what they have in terms of skill set for their job. Maybe this person was someone who they caught committing some illegal hack of a bank account, maybe still millions of dollars. This already happened to the FBI, for instance, and this person was found to have really good hacking skills, but they don't necessarily have the certification degrees. And they, may decide instead of putting them in prison, they offer them, hey, work for us for $70,000 a year. We give you a full permanent job if you pass the probationary period, and your job is to catch other hackers. That could be an exception they can make for someone who might not have all the degrees, certificates, and experience needed for the job because they have a skill set they are lacking that is needed in the federal government for those specific positions. Supervisory or managerial positions, a separate probationary period applies, even for employees with prior service in a non-supervisory role. These positions involve overseeing teams, setting strategic direction, and managing resources within an agency. Can prior federal service affect my probationary period? Yes. In some cases, if you have prior federal service, you may be able to count it toward completing your probationary period. But that depends on the nature of the past federal government job you had, what it was compared to accepted service. So you have to look into that and double check the information. If it's service that was in the same agency or some line of work, may allow you to tag previous service until your current probationary period, potentially completing probation earlier. Tagging probationary time is now automatic and is highly dependent on agency discretion, position similarity, and break in service. So depending on how similar the positions are, break in the service, those things vary. So you have to double check to see if you can apply previous federal government experience to a current one that you're still on the probation period to reduce the time needed during your probationary period. So making it reduced by a few months, or maybe a year or so. That's something you have to double check. Federal employees should confirm the status with HR, human resources, before assuming prior service will apply. Does military service count towards probationary period? Generally, active duty military service does not count towards civilian probationary periods unless you were employed in a federal civilian position before entering military service and are being restored to that position under USE RRA. That's basically stands for Uniformed Services Employment Reemployment Rights Act protections. Or your service was in a federal civilian capacity, such as a federal technician role in the National Guard or Reserve technician program where the position was tied to your military status. So that's something for you to double check as a vet. There, of course, in general, we know that veterans have additional hiring preferences, which can impact provisional status. Preference eligible veterans in the accepted service may gain Merit System Protection Board appeal rights, which I'll go over sooner than some other people, obviously. Sometimes after just 1 year of continuous service. So we already know that technically veterans are what we consider DEI candidates, and they do tend to have privileges that other people don't have and gain things quicker than other people, especially preferences in hiring for certain jobs, even more so. How can I determine my provisional status? Typically, it's documented in the official federal employment record. So if you want to find out your provisional status, you should review SF-50 notification of personal action form. That's something you should know during probably the first couple months you're working. They should explain that to you. Make sure you make copies of that. I would recommend converting to PDF also, so you have a digital copy. Contact your NC Human Resources Office to confirm your provisional status and applicable rules for a specific position. Document their response. So send it via email. Ask AR via email what rights you have. What rules for your position, what appeal process you have that you're eligible for. So send an email to HR. Now you can ask something simple as, "Hey, HR, management, what is my probationary period status, and what the applicable rules for my specific position? Do I have appeal rights?" Those are things you can ask. Doing writing. The email is a good one. Then you can print the email, convert it to PDF. You can save those things. The probationary employees have civil service protection, not completely. Because of probationary employee, you do not have full civil service protection. That's for permanent employees, people who are past probationary periods. It's unfortunate, but you do have limited rights to appeal removals or disciplinary actions, which is probably going to be, especially disciplinary actions, are going to be even harder. However, some probationary employees may gain full due process and appeal rights before completing probation if they have prior federal service in the same or similar positions. This can occur under at 5 USC 7511-75117, which basically grants procedural rights to employees who meet specific service criteria. This is a regulation. Comparative service gains full appeal rights if they have 1 year current continuous service in the same or similar positions, even if they are still in the probationary period. Accepted service may obtain appeal rights after 2 years of current continuous service unless they are preference eligible veterans, in which case they may gain appeal rights after 1 year, higher than the average person. Rehired. Federal employees who previously completed a probationary period may not have to serve another full probationary period if their service is in the same agency and a similar position, allowing them to retain full procedural protections. Can I be removed from federal service during my probationary period? Yes, you can. As a probationary employee, again, you don't have as much of a right to appeal. Not every position is eligible for appeal. What is appeal regarding termination or disciplinary action? Not every position is eligible. You got to double check that, especially with your specific HR of your agency or division. So probation employees are entitled to written notice and stating the agency's reasons for separation. and the effective date of the removal from federal service. That said, if you were removed for impermissible purposes, you may still have the ability to challenge the termination. So, do I have rights if I am terminated? The Merit System Protection Board, MSPB, which hears most federal employees' termination appeals, does not typically have jurisdiction over appeals from probationary employees. This goes in exceptions like probationary employee. However, under the specific regulation, probationary employees may appeal the removal to the MSPB if they allege it was based on partisan political reasons or marital status, or that certain procedural rights were violated. Additionally, employees who believe they were removed based on political affiliation, marital status, or whistleblower retaliation. For example, you may report someone with fraud or doing some type of illegal, unethical action, and they fire you in retaliation for that because you were a whistleblower. That's a protection you have, even as a probation employee. Maybe you have to challenge the decision through the Office of Special Counsel (OSC), or that you can probably put in commission, depending EOC, depending on if this is based on a protected characteristic or protected activity. So characteristics are your EO protected categories. So race, gender, sex, sexual orientation, age, etc. This all obviously includes disability and so on. Those are protected characteristics. Protectivity can be, again, reporting fraud in your office or something wrongdoing, something abuse from your manager, abusing your employees, screaming at them, treating certain employees favorably over others. And allowing some people work from home when everyone's supposed to be back in the office right now, the return to office mandate. But then you have to be in the office constantly. And when you talk to them about it, they scream at you, stuff like that. Those are things you also protect, is protectivity. Can probationary employees join the Federal Sector Union? Yes. Probationary employees can join the Federal Sector Union. Federal labor laws allow unions to represent employees regardless of their probationary status. Can federal settling unions represent probationary employees in disputes? Yes, federal settling unions can provide representation to probationary employees. However, the ability to formally challenge certain adverse actions may be limited compared to non-probationary employees. Generally, unions can provide advice and assistance on workplace issues, represent employees in grievance procedures if covered under collective bargaining agreement. So make sure you know your union rights and as an employee, especially as a probationary employee. Help probationary employees understand their rights and options when facing termination of disciplinary action. Maybe they might help you get a lawyer. You can ask the union for assistance. Union representatives can still be beneficial in advocating for fair treatment and ensuring adverse adherence to agency policies. How does a reduction in force (RF) affect probationary employees? It can affect in multiple ways. Here's some list of for probationary employees the consequence of agency failing to follow RF procedures depend on whether the violation involves statutory rights or collective bargaining agreements protections. Here's a list that you guys can read this to yourself. MSB, MSPB appeal rights. If they meet the criteria with that, union grievance and arbitration. If you're eligible for that, EOC complaints, protected categories such as race, disability, skin color, age, etc. OSC complaints for whistleblower retaliation, NC level corrective actions. But if the NC fails to protect conduct ARF, if NC is found to have violated RF rules, corrective actions such as rescinding termination may be ordered. So it's possible to do that as well. I just, I said it for us, you guys can read this to yourself. How does the deferred resignation offer, FOC offer, impact federal probationary employees? A new challenge to federal employees comes in the form of the deferred resignation offer, where an NC offers a probationary employee the option to resign at a later date instead of facing immediate termination. However, accepting such an offer may have significant consequences. An example of one consequence, you can read this paragraph to go in more details, that if you accept this offer, you may not have the right to challenge or appeal termination or adverse actions, things like that, including discrimination claims. So if you want to claim discrimination, you sign, you accept this resignation offer, you may not be able to. You can lose the ability, so keep that in mind. What should I do if I believe I was wrongly terminated? Review a termination notice to see if any reason given might be legally challengeable. Talk to an employment lawyer. Consult with a union if applicable or an attorney to understand your options. File a complaint with the appropriate agency, such as the OSC for whistleblower retaliations or EOC for discrimination claims. Those things are important. Now, OSC, that's for whistleblower retaliation, like I said earlier, and at this moment, and EOC for discrimination complaints, EO protected categories, equal opportunity categories, or protected activities. So that's basically the article that I want to go over really quick. It's an article that talks about transspending cuts target provisioning workers. What does the status mean? It's from February 15, 2025 from Emma Bowman. It's an NPR article. This article talks about basically what I just discussed, how provisional employees have been talking about the federal government, and I just mainly focus on the rights that you may have as a provisional employee. So you got to double check those things. This article goes in more detail about what is a provisional employee, same thing as the other article, and what rights you guys have and what's going to happen next. Uh, Keep in mind that in general, federal employees are only about this salary or what the expense tends to be around 3% or so of the federal budget cut. So don't be cheering as if this is a good thing. Federal government employees don't cost that much in the federal government budget. It costs a lot more in giving tax breaks to the rich and wealthy than it is keeping federal government employees. This will definitely impact the most needed disadvantaged groups, especially in red states where they really need public service even more from the federal government. It's another website. This is directly from the U.S. Merit System Protection Board. I will also put this in my description. All these websites are going to be in my description. There's a little pause so you can read. It's what I discussed in the first link. There's a whole information about this, list of references. That will be part of my description, this as well. All right, guys, so that's really for today. Let me know in the comment section what you think about this whole situation, how you feel about it, if you agree that probation period should be fired or not. And if you enjoyed this video, please like it, share it, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Watching this TikTok, same thing, follow me on TikTok, share it, but also going to my YouTube channel and like and subscribe. And that's really have a great day.